Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization. We're in Arizona looking for the Mogollon monster. It's a version of Arizona's Bigfoot. I've noticed the sighting reports near the Mogollon Rim. The Bigfoot looks a little bit different than the Pacific Northwest or the Rocky Mountain. Instead of being a dark brown or generally a black covered Bigfoot, this Bigfoot is usually a caramel color, a lighter brown. This Bigfoot sighting near Flagstaff, Arizona fits the description of the Mogollon monster, the Mogollon Rim. Sit back and enjoy one of the reasons that brings us to these areas looking for Bigfoot. This sighting report takes place on Highway 180 between the Grand Canyon and Flagstaff. About 15 years ago, my girlfriend at the time and I took a trip from our home in Albuquerque, New Mexico to Los Angeles to visit my mother. On our trip home, we decided to stop by the Grand Canyon in Arizona because she had never seen it. We got there pretty late in the afternoon and we stayed to view the sunset over the canyon. We departed for Flagstaff soon after it had gotten dark. We headed down a less traveled stretch of road as a shortcut. I do admit that I don't remember the highway number, but I will look it up. The road had next to no traffic on it, and my friend and I took advantage of the time to talk. The highway was very curvy, and we had just come out of a turn into a fairly long straightaway when we noticed something walking down the right side of the road, on the shoulder. The rest of this took place in a matter of a few short minutes, although it seemed like an hour. What we saw was walking upright, like a man, but was noticeably larger. As we got closer, my girlfriend said, "Is that a bear?" It was at that moment that it became visible that our companion on the road was covered head to toe in brown to light brown fur or hair. It was also at that moment that I realized what we were looking at. I had seen enough TV and heard enough hunting stories from my dad. I stopped the car. Our headlights now shone into the area that the Bigfoot could see them, and it stopped as well. We were about 50 yards apart at this point, maybe closer. It then turned to face us. I'll never forget this moment. It is burned into my memory. At first the animal turned its head slightly to look back, but its head seemed to be attached at the chest, so it had to turn completely to face us. We didn't make a sound. We were in complete shock. Our friend was about 7 feet tall and was covered head to toe in hair. The body was somewhat without definition, as in I didn't make out features like hips or gender. The arms seemed to be abnormally long, maybe just above the knee. The face mostly hairless and looked, well, without something else to compare it to, kind of like a character from the Planet of the Apes. Not exactly, but this creature definitely was from the ape family with just a touch of human looks. The eyes seemed to glow a bit green like a cat or a dog in the headlights. It stood there for a matter of seconds. I could tell that it was thinking about its next move. It ran its tongue across the front of its upper teeth in a ponderance. It took one small step in our direction. My girlfriend went berserk. She screamed in horror. It stopped its forward movement, looked around, and headed into the woods near the road in a couple of strides. We never did get another look at it. My girlfriend quickly got it together and wanted out of the area. I agreed. We took off, and I made a wide turn around the area that the Bigfoot had once stood. I never got the feeling that it meant us any harm, but was very curious about what we were. You couldn't convince my girlfriend of that, though. The event shocked her for life, and she refused to ever talk about it again. To this day, I'm sure she has blocked it out. I, on the other hand, will never forget it. It did take me years before I could tell my wife about my encounter. I am only posting my story for my own therapy and the hope that it will help someone else that has gone through something like this. It was just barely after dark, a clear night, about 8 p.m. in the middle of July. It was just me and my girlfriend at the time, and no other traffic on the road, so it was only us two that saw it. The whole time I could see from the body language and face movement that the animal was thinking about its next move. It was very curious about us. I never felt like I was in danger. There are a couple of things I really like about this Bigfoot sighting report. The first thing is how he talks about how the neck comes out of the chest area. The Paul Freeman video, which is one of my top 5 favorite Bigfoot videos out there, that's the first thing that I noticed about that Paul Freeman video is the neck setup and structure, how it comes out of the chest instead of on top of the shoulders like ours. And I just thought about, oh my gosh, if this is a costume, has to be the most uncomfortable costume, the way you would have to put it and stick your head through chest area of the costume. Your head would only be able to get into the neck area. This thing didn't have the structure or profile of a person, and the way he describes this reminds me of the Paul Freeman Bigfoot, except for that's a Pacific Northwest Bigfoot. That Blue Mountain Bigfoot, it looks dark brown, black, but like most of them, not all of them, but most of them. In this part of Arizona, everybody's describing a lighter, a tan, light brown colored creature, so that fits the area, but the profile is just like Bigfoot everywhere else. Cliff Brockman was the BFRO investigator that did the follow-up report. He spoke to the guy over the telephone. The following details can be added to the report by Cliff Brockman. The encounter took place on Highway 180, sometime between 8 and 9 p.m. The creature was walking away from the approaching car. After a quick glance, it twisted slightly at the waist and shifted its feet, left then right, as it turned around to directly face the vehicle. The body hair was thick all over. The hair on its arms seemed a little longer. The arms hung very low, almost to the kneecap. The head was oval, like the top of a half of an egg. It had little or no neck. It showed some movement as the creature glanced at them. Its head and cheeks had hair on them, while the eyes, nose, and mouth seemed more bare. The hair on its head was a lighter shade of brown. The witness described the face as definitely simian, ape-like. The teeth were dull yellow and human-like. The witness said it had "what the hell is that" expression on its face. The creature was 7 to 7.5 feet tall, with the shoulder the width of about 1/3 of its height. After a brief pause, the animal took one step towards the vehicle and the witness, and the girlfriend started screaming. At this point, the animal stopped and strode into the trees. It had covered approximately 15 feet in 2 or 3 strides. They made a wide circle around the area where the animal entered the woods and immediately left the area. I hope you guys enjoyed this Bigfoot sighting report. We'll continue to bring you more videos in this area around the Mogollon Rim and other parts of Arizona close to the rim where there's Bigfoot sightings. You'll get to see our expedition videos where we hike around looking for evidence. You can also watch our driving roundtable videos, and we'll bring you more on location Bigfoot sighting report, because those are what bring us in the area to do our investigations and look for Bigfoot, or in this case, the Mogollon monster. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.